I was going through your old podcasts. And sorry, one of the podcasts also you were explaining, and in one hand you had a vape and kept it on the table. You love your vapes.
They're addictive. I like big cups and vapes. Those are the things we found out is I have a cup like 1.5 liters. This drinking and podcasting.
Okay, we start. Welcome, Misha. Welcome to Crypto Town. Nice having you here.
Yeah, that's an unusual format.
Yes. You're the co-founder of Symbiotic, the shared security protocol. Within 3 weeks of launch, you grew up to $1 billion in TVL. Prior to this, you were the founder of StateMine, which is also like an auditing and security blockchain company. A lot of people know Misha as this gigabrain tech founder, but not a lot of people know the real person behind Misha. So tell me, who is Misha and what's his story?
Deep down, I'm a researcher. I have a physics background. I really explore new technology and the new primitives. And like what I like about DeFi and blockchain in general is how fast innovation is going there, and how we try to work around physical limitations of being redundant, physical limitations of being humans. The most important problem we have now is decentralization, like because decentralization is something suboptimal. Generally, you want one server, you want to have control over the server, and this is going to be the fastest and cheapest solution. As an industry, we're trying to hack the human brain, business incentives, and other things that are pushing us towards centralization. In DAOs, we try to fight human voting power, interest, and empathy. So those are the things that were tried to be solved for generations and generations, and crypto is like on the forefront of that. So as a researcher, it's amazing to have something new to read, new primitives, new ways of thinking, new ways of hacking human brain and group dynamics. For shared security protocol, you have dozens, if not hundreds, of networks interested in you that you might help decentralize. Right. All of those networks are different. You have Oracle network, agent networks, fast finality, rollups, and interop, and each one of them has a unique flavor of how they do things and what that means for them to be decentralized. So you need to research a lot, go through white papers. So for me, this is what I wanted to do my whole life, and being motivated to do stuff that I love to do anyway.
Being a researcher and being a founder is still very different. Did you always want to be a founder?
No. Of course not. Like it's a really hard job. It's like super high stress, and you have to do a lot of stuff that I don't want to do. But at some point, you get a challenge.
Yeah.
And you need to raise up for that. So I was the only one who can do this stuff for us, so I had to do this. But yeah, like if any viewers out there want to like choose the career path, research or product is better. Like CEO is researcher with a lot of other stuff that is really boring or like really bad that you need to do as well. No, like founders are, it's a really hard job. So if there is any possibility for you not to do that, please don't. Like product is the fun parts of being the founder, like researcher, head of research is the fun parts of being the founder without the bad parts.
I like that you mentioned that because we had Prabal from Avail on the podcast, and he's a researcher at heart who's been forced to become a co-founder, and he also doesn't enjoy it that much. We'll come to this as well, but let's go deeper in your life chronologically. Where did you grow up, and how were your growing years like? And were you always interested towards security and computer science?
Yeah, I grew up in Russia, near Moscow. I was always interested. We started the centralization journey with Inu. It was a protocol before it turned. Was like really nice and helpful because you had really slow internet connection, so like 56 kilobits per second. Yeah, like it was not.
Which year was this?
Around like 98.
Okay, something like that. I was born in 99.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it was 98, and yeah, this was basically the only possibility to download anything, even legally, because you paid by minute, so it was the full play, and I really enjoyed that I can post something and other people can enjoy it. And after that, in Russia there was general vibe of not trusting your government because they experimented so much and not that great.
Is that why you moved to Dubai?
Zero crime, zero tax. What's not to love? But we moved here anyway.
Yeah.
The sense that we as a people need to take matters in our own hands was really present always because there was privatization, there was economic shock and recovery. People lost money multiple times during my lifetime.
Yeah.
I realized something fishy is afoot. You need to figure that out. He mastered the market, so as a researcher in private equity. In Russia, it was like really something that a lot of people did. Like you're a physicist and then you just go to investment bank and immediately.
That's two different things.
Yeah, but for some reason people think that's complementary. So yeah, I went there and realized how the money supply works and what's quantitative easing and other stuff that we taken fuck you over. Around 2011, 2012, I went on a research forum. I liked this concept of electronic money. They weren't called cryptocurrencies, but they're, I think, electronic money and that their supply is fixed. And you can participate while being helpful. You can earn them as well. So you have a direct incentive to help network decentralize. And I was like, that's a really interesting concept. Mine with born for 5 days from my laptop.
Which year was this?
11? I think 11. Yeah, but well, from laptop, so it wasn't super efficient, but you can still do that. It was really nice. For some time, I was involved with my own businesses, skipped a few beats, and I returned when Ethereum was announced. Nobody really cared about the smart contract part of it, at least like on forums that I participated, but people were really excited about the fact that there is ASIC resistance. And people are like, oh yeah, like we can use our GPUs forever. And it's going to be a really decentralized because Bitcoin was full steam ahead going to ASIC providers and like centralization of some sort. And Ethereum thesis was we are going to be resistant to that. But yeah, and then interesting concepts explored more smart contracts. People were telling you give on Ethereum, you get Coca-Cola and stuff like this. It was really hard for people to understand how it's actually gonna work. There is no way to check if Coca-Cola was delivered or not. And then people figured out ICOs. Yeah. And it was like really amazing because people are going left and right.
Did you participate in ICOs at the time?
Some of them, not a lot.
And you were still in Russia at this time?
No, apart of it, I was living in Bali and then in Russia for a while. I was really careful. As an investor, I'm old school and careful. We need to analyze everything, you need to understand. Most protocols at the time were not detailed.
They didn't have shared security protocols to protect them.
A shared security protocol can't help you if you don't have architecture.
They only had white papers.
The white papers were really bare bones. We had multiple protocols. They were planning on decentralized compute, which is not fucking delivered yet. It was very 16.
So your audit journey started with KPMG, right? That was your first gig at audit. What was that about? Was that technical or business related audit?
Business really, financial audits. No, it was a really easy path if you want to get from being a physicist to investment banking.
Yeah.
You either go and like finish masters of economics or something,
Yeah.
or go through KPMG or like any big four company and straight up there within a year. I was seat of uni. And I didn't want to spend another 2 years working on that. So I just went to KPMG and straight out of there went to private equity fund and then investment bank.
You say you love research, you're a researcher at heart. Let's break down the art of being a researcher, right? So a lot of people who are watching you, they might be like research enthusiasts or people who want to do all this stuff, right? So what are 3 tips or sources you get your information from? And how do you keep yourself updated?
I'll start with the second part. First, you need the motivation. A lot of people breathe when they have spare time. The best part and what I try to do is be motivated and incentivized to research. Even if it's your favorite pastime, you need incentive. You need to make it permanent. But it's something that you do not because you like it, but because like you have incentive to do so. Because people are lazy. At least I am lazy.
Yeah.
Currently, I don't have a way out of research. I need to understand some stuff. I need to understand architectural because shared security protocol is an infinite alignment game.
Yeah.
You need to always understand how to do things to be aligned with the network. You need to understand, okay, we have ZK part of the WUS. It does not require stake. Or then you talk to some L2s and like other parts that, oh, there is a UX component. Because you can generate proofs.
Yeah.
And they're going to be working without any stake because they can't be slashing it just to verify the proof. But what if you never deliver your proof? You'll never reach finality, right? What can safeguard against it? It's stake. Because you're losing stake if you're not providing proof within the allocated time. Let's try to understand how you can help every system. For that, you need to understand what is the drawback of using one technology or the other. Same as prediction markets. Can they be used for everything? No, probably not. Here, there are parts of the system where this security assumption of prediction markets and their subjective nature are too much. You can do proofs, right? Or frog pools, ZK pools, or some other. And yeah, you need to be motivated to research. So this is the important part, because like internal motivation is great, and for some people it's gonna work like straight up forever. But it's better if it's supported. It's better when you have your team that's waits for you to research something or waits for your feedback.
Deadlines.
Yeah. Deadlines, because like that they'll keep you honest. Right. I have the team and have now like in state mind still of 20 people. That's like the source of the advice. Don't read too much. Try to make your education research. Try to talk to. It's easy if you understand like the concept, if you understand the architecture and still have questions. Reach out to the team. They would love that. If your opinion is constructive, you'll find a friend in the founder or dev or researcher. You'll find a stream of information beyond anything you can read. For researchers, it's common to just close and read. Yeah. So let's avoid that and try to be sociable. Talk to people, because we'll get work opportunities or like just employment from that, and you'll have interactive communication that will bring results, or if that are going to be great for researchers on the side of the team and you as well.
What was your first gig then? Was it when you became the CEO of the audit company, or were you discussed before that?
I was really apprehensive about ICOs because my risk profile was always really low. I never wanted to risk anything of this sort myself. So I tried to combine the knowledge that I had from working for the big enterprise and then the knowledge that I have in like distributed system that I like. That was my hobby for a while. So I tried to do distributed systems and distributed ledger technologies for the big enterprise. I spent maybe 2-3 years trying to pursue that for banks, for huge logistic companies, because they had the same problem. If you have 1,000 operators that have their own fleets that are controlled by something, you create IoT devices that are trustless because they supply information in a distributed ledger, so one enterprise can't manipulate data and just like straight up scam people out.
Yeah. Sounds like an operator network.
Yeah. We were working searching the ways how to integrate Ethereum into that. There was this initiative, Hyperledger Fabric, but the market was just not there. So
which year was this?
2018, I think.
Okay.
2018, yeah. So, and in every step, I was mostly interested in infrastructure, because if you build infrastructure, you can focus on deeply technical stuff. I try to avoid the hype. We want people building on us to get hype.
Yeah.
Not us. We'll be a provider of the solution too, and just pure like UX and security.
Yeah.
Some part of hype it's unavoidable. Like you mentioned, you get like $1 billion immediately, but that's like that shows the trust in what we're trying to build.
So this was iconic recently, right?
Yeah.
And then you were the CEO of Rick Spites. How did that happen? How did that transition come through?
I knew the team. We were doing stuff for each other before that. I was building systems with fast finality. Before the day of rollouts, they had a really sophisticated ground quality gadget that they rolled themselves. So I enjoyed that. And once the time came for it, they realized that they need to scale. Yeah, they need to like experiment more and more boldly. And for that, they needed CEO. I was the owner for different startups and consultant for different startups in crypto as well. Yeah, I rose the challenge and I was like, yeah, like I'll do accounting for you as well.
Yes.
Because there people are saying that like CEO is product plus accountant and lawyer.
Yeah.
So I decided to help, and we've tested a lot. We created a sophisticated education system. I led Lido on Godot as a separate unit.
Yeah.
That was really fun as well. Yeah, really hard. That's when we started learning about shared security.
You were working on the XMP protocol at the time, right?
No, we were the first user of it. It was hard to create an architecture for a protocol that is based on messaging protocol that's not even finalized in terms of architecture. Yeah, Gavin told this a few podcasts ago, and after before that, he was telling people that they're gonna be like designing it that way. And yeah, we managed to create it in a really short time, and it was really fun. Polkadot, it's a problem. It's great. In crypto, we see the cost re-emerge again and again. I wouldn't call it that. But they were like tier one protocol. Now they wouldn't be the biggest roll up. This happens if you don't ship as fast as possible and like you're not as optimized for use cases you want to reach. Right. We learned a lot from every primitive and shared security before us. Try to never repeat optimal moves from them.
When you became the founder of StateMake, an auditing company, let's talk about that experience.
Mine was always planned to be boutique, not mass market, something just like tier one protocols, really pushing the envelope. Protocols usually like figure out the simple stuff and really easy to identify stuff. It was always like we call them design audits because we try to understand the totality of architecture. Sometimes it's economic mechanism to fight. Sometimes it's really deeply complicated math. We need to formally verify our fuzz. Protocol we analyzed was Balantis, and it's around 9,000 lines of code. So a lot. Yeah, like and our report was like 200 pages long.
Wow, and this was before ChatGPT.
No, yeah, we just finished the Symbiotic. We just finished the Cantina challenge, the pod bounty contest. We got around 1,000 submissions. Almost zero of them like anything, just pure anything, because and most of them are generated through DPD. So it became really hard for you to understand if this is something or not nothing. You need to spend a lot of time on that. 200 pages of just verified bugs and issues. Yeah, but it was really interesting and really nice experience to create an auditing firm from scratch. Most of the really well-known auditing firms were there for like years and years. So we're 7 years old. Chain security, it's like 8. Trailer beats is like 20.
What were some of your learnings from this? And as you said, you would only engage with top protocols. How did you get these deals at the time? Because you were not 7 years old or 10 years old, right?
People knew about us. Like we personally know a lot of people, so we already had some trust. We got a lot of clients, and then like my sales tactics was really simple. I just went and talked to try to find a contact for core dev there, and just send them the audit reports that we had. It's easy for them to verify. You don't have to tell them what they're like. Oh shit, this is creative. They now have Chinese people working on it. They're always good.
Yeah. Let's talk about Symbiotic and restaking. Assume everyone around you has no idea about shared security or restaking. Explain what restaking is, how was it originated, what was the need of it, and shared security, what does it mean, and explain it to us like we're 5 years old.
Redundancy is bad. Redundancy is hard. Redundancy is suboptimal. You want to have everything on one server. One server that you control, one server that's located somewhere safe, and probably that has one big backup. That's the redundant part. If we had that, some judge in some like Georgia or something would just write one border and the Bitcoin would never happen. And we would never happen. Like also, none of the crypto like startups would ever happen. Didn't happen that way because Bitcoin was unstoppable. There is no point, one point of failure. Nobody can just stop you from validating blocks. As long as we have enough miners, Bitcoin will survive. Same as for Ethereum, as long as we have enough stake operating and we have consensus, but Ethereum is gonna survive. So how do we help people to go to stay decentralized and make it interesting for them? Because they're going suboptimal. They have multiple servers doing the work of like that one server will do better. Just the unstoppability of it is motivation. But let's create more, make decentralization cheaper. How do we do that? We will use restaking. What restaking does is let you use the same stake multiple times. So you don't have to pay as much. And so if you are locking up the asset that you want to lock for one network, you need to pay 100%. You need to pay 10% APR for users to be interested in that, or like 5% APR. If you use a restaking, you can pay 2%, 1%. In restake 5 times and you get the same 5%.
Can you explain that with an example so it becomes easier for people to visualize?
Yeah, just imagine you have Oracle network, Interop, FHE network, and like agent network. If they launched separately, each one of those needed to acquire some form of token, or create some form of token and pay, so dilute it and create a sales pressure for that to launch decentralized, to pay operators for operating and stakers for staking. If the user is taken, they need to pay the fifth of that. So their sales pressure for their token at launch is 5 times less. This is the price, the capital optimization part here. But the other interesting part that goes way beyond optimization, if you can launch faster, because for you to create your own economic base, you need to create foundation somewhere like or on the mail. For this foundation, you need to issue tokens. You need to like list those tokens somewhere. You need to pay market makers and like to do the liquidity provision things. So like this sort of whole negotiation and like launch of token, it takes months, if not years, for some companies. You can do that immediately with shared security. We don't have to have a huge economic base for a token. Just reuse somebody else's. Be that Ethereum, be that coin, be that Uni tokens or like Arbitrum tokens, Optimism tokens, or any other widespread tokens that are going to be stable enough for you to use. Just imagine you're in the bull market, you want to test the traction for your protocol. You can start 6 to 16 months faster. You don't have to. And then you can launch a token even afterwards. You can work with like points or like any other model. Yeah. And then when the time comes, but you already testing traction, you already onboard billions of dollars because you have billions of economic security. After a while, you can launch a token, you can go through all of these steps again. Right. And you're going to be in completely different spot when you actually launch your token. Because you already have traction, you don't have to convince like as much people as much, because you already validated your product market fit. Where in every step of this decentralization journey, shared security tries to mitigate the drawbacks of decentralization. See, it's even easier for you to, it's faster to launch. Again, you still have to pay for that, but you're gonna pay less. And like the last part of it is make sure it's easy to get the best operator set for your network. It's easy to get frameworks, SDK, helpers to launch your decentralized network. The journey is easier. Because before, now like it was semi-independent. Each network decentralized in its own way. It talked to operators. Operators got experience, but it was internal expertise. It was not like expertise that were like getting out a lot. So everyone goes through this tedious journey of a year and a half. Most people do it indirectly first, and then they try to figure it out. If they get product market hit, they try to fix their allocation, delegation model. It takes a lot, and a lot of people, and what we fight against in shared security is they get, oh, I'm gonna start centralized. I'll figure something out. Yeah, like I'll start centralized. It sends a really bad message to the industry. Right. Every huge protocol that starts centralized sends the message that it is normal, which is not. You are destroying the value proposition of crypto. If we are centralized, our UX is going to be always worse than centralized solutions. Right. And what they're going to be fighting, like they have like centralization in bank, and your optimization is not going to be so great, and you're going to be easily closed within seconds. Just one Hancock, and like at some point, police comes to one person, 3 person, and your protocol is done.
Okay, you've used a bunch of terms, operators, networks, right? Let's understand the architecture of Symbiotic here so that you can explain these terms better. On the base layer, you have networks, and then you have resolvers, operators, right? Curators come in somewhere, then you have vaults, right? Can you break down these terms in the architecture general?
In terms of architecture, the goal of shared security protocol is simple. You have operators running your software, validating transactions, or providing price speeds, or doing other stuff, consensus or not. You have stakers that provide stake that risks and creates a gating mechanism for onboarding operators. Final set of decentralized network, or network that is trying to decentralize. Network has conditions to onboard operators and stakers. Stakers provide their stake to pretty set of networks. So each one of them agrees on the mode of work. I'll do this and I'm getting slashed. I'll do this and I'm getting reward. And I onboard here, and my work is to provide this. So reward and punishment and stake and lockup periods are once agreed upon. Our job is to make sure that like happens as agreed. Right. So it's really simple. Once the agreement is reached, and like really simple but powerful. because the way Symbiotic is created, because we don't do as much, and we provide the good solution for that, but it's not specified. You can do whatever you want as long as relationship are consensual. Like any mode of communication is possible and main agreement is possible. And like this is the design decision that goes everywhere from the business side to the technical side, perfectly aligned with everyone. Some protocols need the reward model to be not on Ethereum. Some networks want tokens from non-Ethereum, non-EVM chains. Symbiotic work with that. Any token on almost any chain can be used without need to transport it to Ethereum at all. The reward model can be somewhere else as well. Just need to agree upon it before. So yeah, infinite alignment and easy responsibility to have. Network can be anything, operator can be anything, Oracle, agent network, threshold network, execution network. The more interesting use cases you have, the more you're gonna be successful in the mission that I described before. Like you need to provide more stimuli to what's decentralized. And the more networks you have, the more primitives you have launched. For every new network that comes to you and they're like, we are threshold operator, operated ZK Oracle options network. And you're like, we have all of those here. And they're, oh, great, we don't have to develop as much. We have already solution to be inspired by. Some networks launching with us are creating their middleware to be open source, so MIT. Every next network is going to be launching faster. Right, that's the point of shared security. Right, it's not only about tokens, it's about knowledge that I've shared.
For example, let's say Capex is an agent network where we're a project which is trying to become a decentralized network. Now we have stakers who will stake their assets. And here the beautiful part is that they're flexible to use whichever asset or token they can. They stake it using operators, right? Now these operators are responsible for performing predetermined tasks. If they don't do it correctly, they get slashed, right? Now one thing that we haven't touched upon, which is a very important aspect as well, is rewards, right? So do you want to explain that concept?
What is the accounting and delegation module? It has information about where the stake is allocated. It can be allocated to 5 or to 10 networks to train. Each stream of stake comes through resolver. Right? It can come through resolver, so it comes usually through resolver and connects to network and their own operated SEP. And then network sees that, okay, this stake is connected to me with this operator SEP and selects the operator that it wants to be operated. It's a simple accounting mechanism and permission mechanism. When you allocate to network, some vaults can allocate to 1,000. Some can be like really conservative and allocate to 5. So you have just the delegation model for a stake, just the management accounts module for them to be connected to networks. Yeah, like the resolvers I mentioned, those are Tamitis algorithms, Hoover networks or something like that. That basically balls at the last line of defense here for the slashing message to get through. So when like network sends a slashing message, that might be the last authority to arbitrate, to say no, it's not valid or it's valid to prove something.
So this is the present architecture and state of Symbiotic, right? For someone entering the world of Symbiotic, explain it to them. How did we reach here? How did shared secured? What were the earlier protocols who did this? What were things you took from them? What were some things that were wrong with them? And how did you derive it?
I'll try to be short here. We've had a lot of things using someone else's security for a while, because why do you need to create at each time you launch a new network? It was used at merge mining or name point in Bitcoin. We had delay chain for Polkadot. Basically, you have the really strong security chain and really simple design that like anchors states of parachains. So it was the first data availability network, I think. So anchoring was done long time ago, maybe 7 years ago, when tried multiple times. We had some designs. I'm not sure if Omni was anchoring, but like they were close. So anchoring is basically when you just straight up dump your state without verification, just for data availability in somebody else's blockchain. We moved past that, and like Polkadot needs some form of verification. And some form of verification came from rollups, shared security space. We're using the security and data availability of Ethereum. So then we had cross staking after that. Cross staking was mesh security for Cosmos ecosystem. They were using the same tokens between networks to align bridges and new networks as well. So people tried that, and that was really nice as well. Then we added cross staking. We changed to restaking with Eigenlayer. They changed two letters, so their contribution was to be Ethereum centric and to be Web 2 centric. So like the cloud, each good one solution for protocols and reusability of Ethereum validators with sidecars. Right. They like pivoted from that because Ethereum validators, if people know what they are, they're really like simple devices, not great for agents, machine learning, or they're not gonna be great for ZK. They're a new type of network. We need different infrastructure or costs completely different from like Ethereum nodes. So the industry moved from the execution layer and left the consensus layer hot overburdened, tried to like solve the them that was that plagued every shared security protocol before us. That they lack demand. Like Eigenlayer, Polkadot, and Cosmos, they don't have demand because they're inflexible. Polkadot, Cosmos, and Eigenlayer dictate that there is a good way of going around things, and you should never do that. That's how like every part of the way that you are opinionated or you create solution that is not as flexible, you lose some protocols. When you lose protocols, and like the example that I used, the new network comes to you and they realize, oh, you don't have any of those. Like I probably should launch myself. Yeah. Like I should natively launch, develop everything myself, or launch centralized. Which is even fucking worse. You need to avoid like that as much as possible, and we orient our protocol to be all encompass. Like for that, like we launched permissionless from the start. Like so you don't have to think twice about using ours in our tech stack and being subject to like political pressure, being like fees or other pressure tactics that there might be used some point in the future. Permissionless, fully customizable and modular. Slashing can be done any way you want. Rewards can be utilized any way you want. Any token on any chain, bar from like some that are really like non-Turing complete. General vibe. We try to be as non-opinionated as possible. If it benefits your network, if it doesn't hurt anyone, we are great. Like let's calculate. Let's figure out a way for you to utilize and benefit from shared security. Okay. Purely demand based, right? Because like currently we have around 40 networks in our pipeline. Need more firm primitives, different launch patterns, different weeks. Because restaking and shared security provides novel ways to launch. You can, because you don't have to have token from the beginning, you can use points, which was never done before. You can use tokens immediately, like long clock tokens, providing value as a rewards or like ways. And you can do a triple stake and align with protocols that you're launching on, like L3 or interop or fast finality for a group of rollups. You can use multiple tokens from multiple protocols to create a alignment layer and create like straight up utility throughout the ecosystem. So you can do a lot of other flexible stuff. For that, we need networks to launch and scale. Because each will try to optimize and create some like better product market fit, and it's gonna expand the menu that other networks can select.
Right. On the subject of using points, right? Some would argue that points, because it's not a token, it's not like publicly traded or whatever, it doesn't give you the correct economic security. What do you think?
I don't know. It's really hard to talk about that, but you can use points for a lot of things. Especially for protocols doing something cutting edge. And need to do it as soon as possible. It's a good mechanism to bootstrap things.
When talking about restaking, right, it's difficult to not talk about Eigenlayer because that's where everything started from, right? And it was the token launch of the cycle, right, which captured a lot of mind share. And I know that you don't like calling Symbiotic an Eigenlayer competitor. Where do you stand in that? Why do you think you're not a competitor?
Yeah, our mission is wider. The things we can do with our architecture are become a different level, as far as I can see. As well as the business, we're neutral. Like we don't spend. We can cater to way wider audience. And yeah, that's why we took all to be called shared security. Eigenlayer now wants to be called that as well. Staking is part of it. If we were just simply restaking protocol, that would be like putting us in the competition that I get there of some sort. Because the goal they and the end game are completely different. Their end game, as far as I understand it, is to create a standardized cloud with one service per each, one interop that's like partner with them, exclusive with them, like one data availability solution that's even called EigenDA. Yeah, I'm not sure like any DA solution is going to be launching on them because they already have their own. So the scale we can reach is completely different because with the current approach, at least that's how it's used. They can only get one of each. We will get everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, this doesn't sound like a competition. There's different approaches. Okay, but like it's not competitive. They'll have some portion of what they all the set,
Right.
and we will have everything else.
Right. Right now, because Eigenlayer has been live for a while and there are like so many ABSs which are being built on top of Eigenlayer, right? We're yet to see Symbiotic's mainnet launch. What is your go-to-market strategy for acquisition of more networks? And what is your approach for a healthy ecosystem build?
Yeah, like we've been public for 3.5, right? Something around that month. Our ecosystems are comparable. In terms of like the quality of protocols, I would say ours better already there. So yeah, no, the Eigenlayer, like again, they have around 40 networks that are like worth something. We have around 40 as well, but like the quality of ours, I would say better. In terms of mainnet, yeah, like we are planning to launch too. It's not gonna be quick. We are the first production restaking with like shared security protocol, so like we'll have to pioneer a lot of stuff. Need to figure out the lockup period. Those details were never done by any protocol because they're not production. Lockup schedules for networks because there might be different and they might change. Slashing mechanisms, resolver committees, reward models. A lot of this stuff was never figured out because we don't have that anywhere. Right. So it's not going to be quick, but once it starts going, the flywheel effect will take force because every other network that launches will see examples of somebody that launched good, that get traction, that token model worked, and like the strategy for acquisitions of stake worked, an operator set. I think around Q2 2025, the flywheel will be noticeable, really noticeable. Just the pure speed of innovation that we can reach will be already something that will be really visible.
Okay.
Yeah, we are planning from our side. We are ready. We have everything in place that we need. We are waiting for the network speed to get to a point where it's going to be. We don't want to rush it, because first one is going to be really visible. So we don't want to rush anyone. But our code was freeze for 3 months already. Yeah, it's infrastructure. It takes time. Hype is nice, like infrastructure. Once we reach the main point where you can just pick and choose, yeah, the effect is going to be immense because infrastructure, when it starts working, it's subtle when accelerate, but once it like full speed, yeah, the speed of innovation is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah. Talking about TVL, right? Because for all these shared security protocols, the more TVL, the more economic security you can guarantee to your networks, right? As we mentioned, within the first 3 weeks, you were able to get like a massive 1 billion TVL, and then you, in fact, paused the deposits. I think you said 1.6 billion of TVL, comparable to Babylon's 1.6 billion. Eigen is at 10 billion, and Karakat is 600 million. How do you look at the TVL games, and how do you plan on like attracting more?
We don't need more and more. This is common misconception about TVL free staking protocols. It's an optimization game. The greatest shared security protocol is zero TVL. Like, why would you need TVL? Our design is transitory and great for this market cycle, but might be optimized further. Let's say you have 10, 20 networks, right? 20 networks that are using 500 million, like half a billion TVL to secure yourselves. They're just starting, so half a bill is a lot. Yeah, right? Like you don't need that much for most networks. They're just starting, they're getting like half a bill each. Because it's five times optimized, it's like relating to, so 2 billion can secure 20 really like medium sized networks. Yeah. But like Eigenlayer has 0 right now. Yeah. Okay, actually launched. So 10 billion is not something like that's why they're losing slowly their TVL. It's like goes down a bit because people start to figure out the simple like napkin math here. Like we can actually like with our like 1.7, 1.6, we can secure 17 networks. Once we get to that, perfect. Like, nobody needs 10 billion out of the box. Name one network that has that. Chainlink has around that, but they're not all staked. Yeah, if you're planning to launch a new Ethereum with 300 billion of stable coins, perfect. Yeah, you'll need that. But it's a really bullish outcome that looking at the Eigenlayer networks, we don't expect the 10 new Ethereums. The part about TVL is that if you don't have actually networks launched, because currently like Eigenlayer is paying for the full parts just with their own tokens. They don't have rewards like for anything. Like maybe networks don't actually pay. They need to dilute their token more and more for just to supply this 10 billion. It's good marketing, but the math is simple. Anyone can do this calculation in their head. So yeah, like we are at comfortable. For this stage, once we get to mainnet, it's gonna change. Yeah, because like their model is gonna be completely different because the stake is gonna be for the first time for us. Right. We'll see where it gets us. But again, restaking protocols and share security protocols are for optimization. If we get enough of the menu and enough of networks not launching, that's again the interesting part about it. I don't consider them to be like competition because their market share is like infinitely small too. And I see the market there that are actual competition, native launches. Yeah. Like protocols, the networks that actually launch on their own, right? Not using share security at all. And they're like maybe 99%, 99.9% of the market. Right. So would you consider the guy that has infinitely small portion, like 0.001%, yeah, to be your competition, or the whole ocean there? Yeah. Like where nobody is using Eigenlayer, both Symbiotic as well. Okay. Like it's too early for us to compete in any meaningful way. It's mostly like marketing because people really like to crash us together and like I'll show you around as your enemy. And if we're actually like really supportive of each other, because I see inefficiencies and like suboptimal stuff like that's really big in terms of how they design things and how they approach things. Otherwise, I wouldn't create the deep genes correctly. Yeah. Like I think they don't like something around us as well. But again, like our main competitor is native launches. They're bigger than us by orders of magnitude, and people are still think we will still have to change minds for people to understand that cool guys are going to be using with shared security and not going to be spending like a lot of money and a lot of time wasting creating their own staking modules and creating their own economic security models.
Very interesting. I love this answer. The next segment is basically we're all part of the Symbiotic society, right? Which is the ecosystem of all network builders which are building on top of Symbiotic. I dropped a message there that we're interviewing Misha, and if you have any questions, right? Someone asked, what are your thoughts on intersubjective slashing?
We have multiple solutions for that. They can be used where verification is hard or political.
What is intersubjective slashing? It's
British notice. Okay. Like Augur, read Augur's white paper and then read Eigenlayer's. The similarities, like it's better presented in Augur, I think. Yeah, it's intersubjective, just subjective. Stuff not objective. It can be used for oracles and can be used somewhere like where then when state verification is really hard. We'll have that. We have multiple protocols that are working with us to implement that. It's going to be used for some portion of networks. It's not going to be used for everyone because why use subjective terms the verification when it can have objective parts? It's going to be a lot of items on our menu. This is the full point. We need to build gambas in solutions. In terms of subjective slashing or like subjective conditions for slashing are going to be used, I think, for some protocols. Again, it's going to be resolved at the resolver level, or it's going to be stayed up on like burner contract level. We have several networks requesting that, and we have solution provided by another protocol. That's how you create value.
right.
You create a fertile ground for people to develop with. And we have multiple protocols. Some are clients. We have UMA protocol doing intersubjective called conflict resolution arbitration, and we have space and time. Like, why would we design stuff for them if they already have that? We are not in the business of writing empty white papers. We already have that. But this is my takes. It can be useful for specific applications.
What do you think about exclusivity when it comes to building networks in crypto, right? There are a lot of companies, I don't want to name anyone, but they sign different networks and these exclusive contracts that, oh, you can only build on top of our network, you can't go to other networks. What do you think about that?
it's usually related to people that are not natively crypto, just came from Web2 or banks, and they are trying to spin their schemes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, like this is painful and wrong for everyone. It will hurt them as much as everyone else. There is no point of like best solution wins. If you are trying to gatekeep or vendor lock people, yeah, you're just gonna destroy the demand side. The more drawbacks, the more like thresholds for people to overcome you create, the more people will join. They're just like, I'm not gonna be doing like these backroom deals with you. I believe in our industry where a lot of people are really dreamers. They believe in their protocols, so they don't wanna create some delayed time bomb for their protocol to be heard after. To with the exclusivity deal, there like some vendor lock, some other barriers for them to figure out later. Protocols that are they don't believe in themselves, that just want to make a kickback and rug some people. Yeah, they will like be doing exactly like exclusive deals. The really protocols that are really powerful and really believe in themselves, they're gonna be just deciding that shared security is a scam. What the point? Like for networks especially, I heard about LRTs trying to do exclusivity deals, and I was like, that's if you have depots with one delegator. They can withdraw and the network dies immediately. What's the point of this economic security? Just one move, one transaction in your network consensus is dead. So no, like exclusivity, it's those people need to learn their lesson and be reformed for the Web3 part of our financial industry, because exclusivity will hurt everyone. You need multiple eyes on your network, multiple RRTs, operators. I understand why they try to do one server optimality, but they chose a really bad part of the industry. We're about decentralization here, right? So if they want to centralize through their like business model, go someplace else. Like market makers are centralized in a lot of ways. Like exchanges are centralized. Just do something with your life that's like more complementary to your part of the industry.
So when you announced your seed raise, a $5.8 million raise with Paradigm and Cyberfund, right? How did the entire fundraise come along? How did the team come along?
It was easier for us because we already had a company with 20 engineers. We just allocated some people. The purpose of StakeMine was always to try and help like in a wider sense, not just audits. And so that's why they created the compilers, tried to create the compilers, currently developing the fuzzers and oracles for like Viper compiler. In a lot of other initiatives, you try to spin something out that might help like more people that just like straight up audits. They were always trying to iterate on the security models on like EBS. Still in my treasury of ideas to rework relay system and VBS for Ethereum, so the transaction flow. We have maybe 7-8 protocols in discussion, brainstorming, or early development. Symbiotic was the one that was like we immediately realized that we can be useful and we don't have to wait for everyone say.
So it was the internal StateMind team that was allocated to Symbiotic.
Yeah, like we fired them.
Okay.
But yeah, they reallocated. At some point, we started to figure out like, is it even possible? Because like a lot of protocols are launching permissionless systems are hard to design. You have this trilemma: permissionless, flexible, and simple. If you go complex, you're gonna get hacked. If you get permissionless, you get less flexibility. You need to understand how to design it. So we had really good engineers that knew every DeFi primitive for every blockchain primitive there is. And we still spent 8 months trying to design a system. And within those times, a lot of I had 4 moments when I realized that we're probably not going to be able to do that. We need to scrap it, like probably do something else. And once we get some idea of how it's going to work, we started talking to Cyber and Vibe. We knew both of them from the former days. Like Cyber, like we knew from Lido days, and days with that, Mixbytes. And the Paradigm, we won several of their from the Gonzabrin, where the security chief of Samsung, security chief of Paradigm was one of the judges. And we scored really high in Paradigm CTFs for years. We knew each other and had a really public on-chain record of excellence. we were oriented well for us to raise. We raised, and the rest is history.
Nice. When you're not busy doing research or in Symbiotic or crypto stuff, what are some of your hobbies? What do you like doing around Dubai?
I don't have hobbies right now.
Okay.
No, like I'm 100% occupied. Like Symbiotic, because like that's why I like Dubai as well. There's not a lot of things to do, and you can concentrate on work. There are different stages of protocol. We're at the stage that requires totality of your attentions. When I read books, but not of my time is allocated to that. Some networks operate from US, some in Singapore. There is no time for sleeping because the guys from Singapore operate. They ask you questions, and for some time, like the guys in New York, girls in New York. But it's super fun. It's a mix of hobby and work. It's really stimulating. I mostly read and listen to music. From Singapore, I got a really sweet pair of headphones that I wanted to get for years. Yeah, like I was, thank you, Token 2049. They have a really nice demo shop. They're like the really good earphones.
Yeah. Bullish, you don't have a life outside of kind of bullish on Symbiotic even more now.
Not a non-lifer, but we need to push really hard, definitely. And like each increment, each boost that we have right now will shorten the actual adoption time by like months.
Yeah.
So each day works a lot. Yeah. Because if I work for a really good week, it's gonna shorten the adoption curve like by 6 months. It's not sustainable. I'll decrease the pace somewhere around like maybe 2 years ago from now. But for now, yeah, like we have a lot of work in front of us, and it's easy because we understand what we need to do, but hard because of the totality of the scope. Right. Because it's never been done. The actual production network's never been launched. Would be sweet if Eigenlayer but further alone, because like you would be followers.
Yeah.
But no, like we actually have to pioneer most of it. So yeah, like it's really exciting, but a lot of work.
I think exciting times ahead. We're stepping closer to the mainnet launch. Everyone's eyeing that launch. Thank you so much, Misha. This is awesome. A lot of good things to look forward to.